And we are live. You can see us on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. So we'll be right back with you, Howlers. We'll be right back.
House of a Baz, I'm Ronnie Adams.
And I'm Jacob Casas, and this episode is called Titan of Faith. And we have a special guest. Why don't you introduce yourself to the people out there?
What's up, guys? So I'm Vernell Hill. Honestly, I would it's in my professional word, I would sum it up by saying I'm a global businessman. But I'm a father of two. Got a beautiful little girl, a 1-year-old boy, and a wife. So definitely a family man. Other than that, I travel the world. I like to help businesses be successful. I like to help people find out how to be successful at what they do, whether that's entrepreneurship or excelling in their craft, or just bringing clarity to, clear the noise, right? I feel like there's a lot of people with ambitions and, trying to scratch and claw at any kind of substance, something that they can build on, right? But there's often low-hanging fruit, like literally within their reach or right before their eyes that they don't really see. So, I like giving those revelations a lot. So, yeah.
So how'd you get started in that? Like, give us some background, because I know that you were in the National Guard.
Yeah.
So give us a little background on you.
Kind of tell us like where you started when you where'd you grow up?
Yes,
sir. Let's do that.
And
Let's
where
give the
was
people
your what was your first dreams and aspirations as a kid? Because I know global businessman is who you are now.
Yeah, sir.
So can you walk us through like life and where did you start?
Yeah. So, I mean, how long do we have? Because that's a long.
Take your time. Take your
story.
time.
I'm
Take
just
your
joking.
time.
I'm just playing. No, but, that's
Take your time,
it.
yeah.
Really is. I
Yeah.
feel like I've lived like 8, 9 lives.
That's
you
great.
know. But I grew up between the Inland Empire and L.A. IE, yeah. Yes,
LA.
sir. LA. Absolutely. And you know what that comes with LA culture, gang banging, poverty, especially on our side of the tracks. I didn't grow up, I don't have like the story of being a black man who grew up in middle class, upper middle class, or upper class. Definitely was poor. And so in that environment, that it definitely pulled me in different ways. Had a lot of, Challenges, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Suffered from PTSD, a lot of traumas. That's the word I was really looking for. Mm-hmm. A lot of traumas at a young age that I had to overcome. And then I ended up joining the military at 17 years old. And I did it on an accident. And here's what's funny. So I didn't know anybody that around me that was in the military at all.
Especially from the background of where you're growing up.
The background where I grew up.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, and this is what's crazy, I had some psychic lady, tell me that I was gonna like join the military or be in the Marines or something like that, and I was like, hell no, I'll never do that. No, I was adamant. I was like, I never do that. Mm-hmm. So fast forward, about time for me to think about like leaving, getting out of high school and figuring out what to do. My parents are like, so I wasn't. Because of the trauma and everything that I was doing, I didn't really excel at school. Always an athlete, but grades kind of kept me out of being a competitive athlete the way that I should have been. So my parents were like, hey, there's this little gig you can do 1 week in the month, and you can get paid for it, and they'll pay for your school. Mm-hmm. And they're like, it's called the National Guard. Mm-hmm. I never heard of it. And this is the funniest thing.
Because we work together.
We work together.
Oh, really?
We work together. Like, one of my first jobs, because I was a hustler all my life. I wasn't trying to be nobody's 9-to-5 type guy. And that's when I first met him. He was young.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Young.
And I was in college. you know, and you know, he had, you know, we worked together, and that's when we first started to click immediately.
Yes, sir. So they telling me about this little gig. It's a weekend gig, and I'm like, all right, let's do that. It seems no harm, no foul. They said it's a National Guard. It's not the Army. That's what was told to me. Mm-hmm. The recruiter went through the thing. Now look. I did not read that long contract.
Who does at 17?
Who does? Nobody does. Nobody does.
Give me some money.
Nobody does.
They like, my boy gonna
Nobody
be successful.
reads it.
I don't care if you read this or not.
Nobody reads it.
Shout out to Miles and Pop.
Hey, and the recruiter.
They knew what they were doing, huh?
Yeah,
Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
Side right here.
Absolutely. And they heard me saying I'd never join. And the recruiters was like, hey, you can get a bonus of like $1,500 or $2,000. You know, $2,000
At 17?
bonus.
That was
at
like,
17, I
damn.
thought, yeah.
Yeah. At 17 back then, you were like, geez, I hit the jackpot back then. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Coming from poverty, right? And so I'm like, all right, cool. I remember asking him, can I get one of those cars too? Because he had a little military sponsored car or whatever, you know, little government car. So, anyways, I'm in basic training. They finally give us our uniforms.
You were like, hey.
Yeah, I look down at my uniform and I'm like, it says Army.
They played you. Right?
Wait a minute. It says Army.
Yeah.
Right? And because I was so physical, it was easy for me to, you know, get sucked into being infantry. So I ended up in basic.
I never heard that story about
Hey,
life.
nobody's got this story. I'm telling you right now.
No.
Bamboozled.
Way to make a movie of that.
And it was
It already
funny.
starts out good, the movie.
I'm looking down and then I'm looking around me and I'm like, man, there's people from all over the place. It's my first time being in like a cesspool of people.
Oh, okay.
From all different backgrounds, all different places.
Because you grew up probably in the hood.
I grew up,
So
absolutely.
now seeing that is a huge like eye opener for you.
Big eye opener.
Yeah, you're like
huge eye opener.
You're like used to your block, really.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you see all of the, you know, the testosterone, right? The males, everybody sizing each other up, and and I'm like, oh yeah, no, it's like real. It's like, you know, prisoners, so it's like jail.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's people fighting and jumping each other, and you know,
It was going down.
oh, it was going down. You know, you mess up.
That's
you,
how it was
you do
back
something
then,
that
though.
you shouldn't do, and you get everybody
So they
smoked.
DP in military. In the
What?
Army.
What?
You get DP'd out
What?
there, huh?
See, I don't know. Look, I'm careful about
yeah,
what I put out there.
Yes, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
It was going down.
Just know.
It was
They
going
make
down.
movies on
going
that,
down.
so we kind of
You know what I'm
already know. They already make movies on that. We know what's going on.
I know. I just don't want the people stoning me later on. You know what I'm
Like,
saying?
hey, coming to your door.
Right.
Oh man, but I made a commitment when I was there. I said, look, this is physical. I can eat that up, spit it out, right? Now, the dudes and the drill sergeant started getting in my face because, you know, like I had a little like an attitude, right? Like, you know,
Like we all did.
I'm strong.
At
Yeah,
17.
absolutely. And they swore I wanted to fight them. You know, I was hungry. They depriving us. I'm breaking into the chow hall in the middle of the night, stealing packets of peanut butter,
Dang. It is like jail.
putting it under my
I'm from the IE. You ain't depriving me. I'm figuring this shit out.
bro. I was hungry. 3 8. Like I'm telling you. So
You used to go in the fridge when you want. Now you're just stuck in bed.
yeah, and we get.
I'd be mad
deprived,
too,
you know,
man. And then they work you
working
guys
all
out
day,
hard
working-
too.
Yeah, you working hard. So, when we would eat, I would like take little peanut butter packets and put it in my pocket and put it up under my bunkmate snitched on me.
What?
And so I ended up, you know, on the smoke list. So I remember, man, we're in Georgia, and it's, you know how, for y'all know, weather gets crazy in Georgia. It rains a lot during the rainy season. So we go outside. You got puddles like this deep, in the water, in the grass, right? You got puddles like this deep. They waking us up at like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, you know, having us in shorts and on our backs and dunking our head back and doing flutter kicks and doing all of that. And mentally, I felt like, you know, that was definitely a challenge. I wanted to break a little bit.
Okay,
Let me just say, I
Go ahead.
wanted to break, but my commitment was like I knew that the military was going to be a cornerstone of my success later on.
So you already
I was
knew
right.
that at 17 years old.
I knew I felt like it was make or break. There's
Okay.
certain moments in your life where you feel like, if I don't do this right now, then my life is going to be different. My life is not going to be good, or there's going to be a downturn or whatever. I just knew, with everything within me, that I had to get through it. You know what I'm saying? No matter what, no matter how foreign it was. So
That's
I did.
pretty interesting to know that at 17. You know what I mean? And my thing is too is how did you at 17 years old, how did you go through that mentally? How did you know I'm just going to do this? And you just kept going through it because it was obviously trying to break you,
Right.
But you didn't break. So how did you go
Absolutely.
through that?
You know, I started to conform. You know, I started to learn the ins and outs of how to be successful. You know what I'm saying? So I started to embrace the environment I was in.
You knew you was there.
I knew I was there. And I said, okay, well, I got to lose this chip on my shoulder. And I got to change the chip on my shoulder, because I actually didn't really lose it. It just transformed into something else.
And like, hey, I'm going to do this now.
Yeah.
That type of feeling.
Absolutely.
I can't let this go without being said. You know, snitches get stitches.
know.
Did you hear that? I got.
What did you do to that guy? We got to know that.
So here's the crazy part.
Can't let that live.
No, here's the crazy part. No, for sure. So
That
I
dude's tripping, man.
obviously I was mad. I feel like the next day, he got sent home for having, like, and this is crazy, testicle cancer.
Wow.
Oh, damn. I was in a clown right now, but now you kind of
Yeah, yeah.
That's good. That
I
you
was
did.
like,
God got him out of
damn.
there. No, just kidding.
That got him out of there.
God got him out of there.
God got him. Oh man, no, you know, but
Yeah, that's an interesting. This is very interesting, man, to hear about your story, because me and you have never sat down and really talked a
Nope.
lot about your military
Absolutely.
life. So this is blessing me.
I always say that I have a growth mindset, right? And you know, the military represents one of the phenomenons in life that I took a deep note of, where I felt I had that crossroad, right? Like, you know, and on
I just like how he says, that says Army. Like, what's this?
literally,
I can't get over
say
that.
National Guard because I'm different. You know, like, I'm different. I'm not in the Army. I'm not in the military.
He's
know?
like, what's that?
Yeah.
Oh, they got me.
Dude, it was guts. So I passed that and I come back, and I remember seeing, you know, bro, a lot of, when I came home just for a little break,
Talk about it.
I remember seeing a lot of people I was hanging out with, and friends and family, in the same exact position.
And I was one of them.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
In the same exact position.
Dang.
But I had
Same mindset, too.
I had changed.
And mindset.
Mindset.
I had changed so much. I was a different man when I came home. A different man. So I was like, man, growth is real. Like, that was my first real cognitive experience with growth. It was like this phenomenon. I got to see it.
Noticed it.
I noticed it. I got to see it.
felt it.
You know, and it had to something I could control. It ain't like I had a growth spurt and I just end up 7 foot tall tomorrow.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was something that was within my power.
Yes.
Right? So I took that and I was like, oh, okay, I got a 6-year contract. I'm about to go crazy. So out of the 6 years, I spent more than 5 of those years deployed. Got the honor to serve in a special operations unit while I was in, right? High speed, amazing stuff. Sniper qualified, all of that.
Damn.
It was amazing time. So I got to operate at a very elite level when I was in and understood what elite leadership looks like, what elite teams look like. Things that Harvard Business School,
not gonna
creates
teach you,
publications. No, they study military leadership.
Oh, okay.
And make publications about it to teach corporate business leaders on how to be better leaders. Because leadership is one of those things that's elusive.
Let's get into that.
It's always
Let's
changing.
Let's get into leadership. So leadership is just so you understand, like, so House Over Baz, we have a list that we think that makes a howler, makes somebody, and leadership is one of them.
Yeah.
Leadership's a big part of it. Now, howlers are all leaders at some point, right? But at the end of the day, too, every man, regardless, at some point in his life, has to be a leader.
Yeah.
Because they have to lead their home.
Absolutely.
So no matter what that gene is in them, it lives in them. It's they're born with that.
Yep.
So now go ahead. I want you to go into your beginning of leadership that you're just talking about.
So I think the thing I like to understand about leadership is that it's always evolving. It's always changing because the world is changing. Right?
I like that.
The world is changing. You can't have this idea that you're a leader but you're going to stay the same.
That's the first time we heard that.
So in order to be like a great leader, first you got to lead yourself.
Definitely.
You have to lead yourself. You talked about leading a family, right? And there's a lot of we're multi-dimensional people. We do things in different areas and spheres of influence, right? So the best resource that we can invest in is us.
Fire.
Is us,
Fire.
right? So if there's an area, for example, I'm going to just talk business because I like,
do your thing.
being a business person, right? A lot of times, I get a kick out of this. You can have somebody who's the CEO of a company and they got a PhD. They got 2 PhDs. I've known people like that. And maybe they lead a 10,000 person company. Now, this is figurative. This is not anyone specific I'm thinking about, right? Just hypothetical. They lead a 10,000 person company. Company's growing. But now, pandemic hits, right? Some of those people have gotten comfortable and they rest on their loins because they feel like they're so accomplished. Right. They feel like they've done so much.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, I've got 2 PhDs. I've proven myself. Y'all just follow me. I don't have nothing else to do. Just follow me and ask me questions, and that's it. Right? Just or follow me and take my direction, and that's it. Right. But there were a lot of companies who were exposed even during the pandemic with their inability to lead because they could not adjust on time. And then you got, case studies, I learned in business school of companies like, Blockbuster. Everybody knows about that, right? It's no longer around because things changed.
Yeah.
And you have people who get, ego stunts leadership, right? You got people who get so high and mighty and so egotistical that they think they got a corner on the market and they don't have to do anything else. No, make any more changes, and they end up obsolete. Damn. Unable to lead.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
Right. Broken leadership comes from
100%.
Well, that's what we were talking about too before. Is it's important because to not get complacent when you're a business owner. So I own a business, and that's what we're talking about, a Baz, right? So I feel like a howler could be bazzing out. And I know, I was telling him firsthand, I was bazzing out. I got complacent.
A howler could be bazzing out.
Yes, for sure. A howler could be bazzing out. I was bazzing out. So you got to recognize what you're doing. Like, I feel like I was bazzing out and I was getting complacent, comfortable with the same amount of money. And it's never fluctuating up. It keeps just going this way, right? Instead of learning, okay, I need to get back in this, get my head strong again, and start pushing. And it's hard to get out of that. Even as an entrepreneur, you're like, hey, I'm here, but I could be here, but I'm comfortable right now. So you got to get out of
100%.
that Baz mentality and push your business again. And it's hard because you get stuck just like a regular employee of your own business. And that's where I had to adjust.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're an employee of your own business.
Wait, but look, here's what's funny. So you're saying that, right? And I tell people all the time, you have to work yourself out of a job. You don't title yourself out of a job. A CEO is an employee.
Yeah.
And I talk to so many entrepreneurs, all they do is spend their time, well, a lot of their time, going on campaigns about how being an employee is stupid. But you're a CEO. If you know what that means, you're an employee,
Right.
and you shouldn't talk bad about the status of an employee when you not only are an employee, but you're going to need employees to
Definitely.
build your business.
I love that a lot.
That's fire.
That even changed my mindset a little bit right now.
Because that's
Yes.
leadership.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's leadership.
Yeah.
Leaders don't talk bad about positions they need and people they need,
Right.
right? You want to lift up like what that is,
Yeah.
and what that means,
Right.
and the purpose behind it. And I learned something so valuable, man, in a lot of my different experiences. Years and years and years ago, more than I want to say like probably a decade ago. I was an ad consultant working for an ad agency, and they sent me out of town to work on this market in southern Utah, northern Nevada, parts of Arizona that are connected. And prior to this, I used to help, businesses. I used to consult businesses on their marketing budgets, how to target their specific audience, use different platforms, grow their business, right? Reduce their customer acquisition costs, things like that. The majority of the businesses I worked with previous to this, they cared about scaling. They cared about growth. When I went out to southern Utah and in that area, I worked with a lot of mom and pop shops, a lot of locally owned businesses that could care less about scaling. They've been in business 60 years,
Oh yeah, there's so many businesses like that. Even around
70 years.
Right.
They're heroes in their little market,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Some people genuinely prefer to be a big fish in a small pond.
Yeah. They get comfortable there too.
100%.
They get
No, it's
comfortable. And it's easy to get comfortable.
They don't
there.
care about scaling. They don't
Yeah.
care about franchising.
That's what I'm trying to do right now, matter of fact. Franchise.
Yeah, their resources, the revenue of their business depends on what their local market really knows and their connection, their loyalty.
Yeah, you're
to
going to be
that.
a regular on this
Their
show.
loyalty.
Talking about business.
Yes,
I already
yes.
know this is what's going down.
And you wanna
I'm
know-
sorry, but it is what it is.
I told you was gonna kill it. I told you.
Yeah.
You want to know what?
I have to say this. You want to know how I knew Vernell was gonna be a leader? When we first started working together, like his boldness, his tenacity, it was like, we had managers over us, you know what I mean? And he'd look at them crazy when they try to tell him what to do. So can't nobody lead this dude? You think you gonna be able to tell this dude what to do? He was young and bold, you know what I mean? He even came at me. I'm a little older than Vernell. He came at me like, bro, I'll beat you. You think you good? And I was like, this little dude. You know what I mean? I already knew, you know what I mean? He's going to make sound decisions the way he want to. Not because someone else told him to or led him to do it. You know what I mean? Every decision was because he was strong enough to make that decision, and any type of consequence or anything that came with it, he was willing to be able. He was going to be able to handle it.
Before, because I know we're not going to get into this
Yes.
if we don't do it right now.
Let's go.
What do you do exactly then? Because I know we're not going to get into it if we just keep
No,
going.
no,
Then we can go back.
Yeah.
You know how this is going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a channel sales manager and a
Okay.
sales development executive for a global industrial technology company, right? So what my day-to-day looks like is working with Fortune 100, 500, executives, leaders. Could be the chief technology officer, could be global director of engineering. And these are brands that everybody knows, from Oracle, Coca-Cola,
Damn.
Amazon. I mean, you name it, right? Like these are the types of
House over
companies we
Bass.
work with. Right? And so, but these, it's
This is my
interesting.
business partner. You know that, right?
So some of the most powerful companies on earth that even most people haven't even heard of. I could name a company called Foxconn. Most people are like, "What's Foxconn?" I think it's about $1 trillion company. Yeah, they do the manufacturing for or contract manufacturing for Apple and a lot of other companies.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, you know they're making money
Yeah.
for Apple.
So I work with these engineering houses or executive teams, and I position myself as a strategic advisor. Some cases, we're genuinely innovating, so I'm solving a unique problem that they present. So they say, "Hey, look, we want to reduce fatalities on construction sites. We've got the global market share leadership in this sector. Tell us how we can use technology to accomplish that."
Wow.
So I say, okay, very innovative. We're building, right? So I bring the team together, internal resources, so engineers that I'm connected with. I have a huge ecosystem of partners, so I pull together the ecosystem. It could be ISVs, which is independent software vendors. It could be SI, which is a systems integrator. Could be a consulting firm. It all depends, right, on what the needs are. So I assess and I understand what the needs are, pull together the specific partners that are going to help accomplish it. Because when you want to make a big move, you need multiple partners
Definitely.
together,
Yes, sir.
right? And I wanted to say that real quick because I know maybe your audience, right, might be a mix of people. Most people aren't in the industry I'm in. Maybe they're in, maybe they're an entrepreneur, but there's a lot of people with a hero mindset,
That's
hero syndrome.
Want to
Where
do it by them?
you got to do it by yourself.
A lot of people have that.
It gotta be you.
Especially the older dudes.
Right.
Absolutely.
They don't want to take any advice, and it's scary for them. And most of the time, it's scary for them. They just want to admit it. They're just like, I ain't doing nothing
100%.
new.
Right.
I want to stay the same that I'm doing because it's comfortable.
And people are selfish.
Big
Yeah.
eyes, little you.
That's a
and
big
this
thing.
is just
Yeah.
me. Look
Yes.
what I did.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Look what
100%.
I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know what I
And-
mean?
Selfish is a big thing too.
It
Yeah.
becomes it becomes more about ego and less about business.
We knew somebody like that. And-
More
and-
about ego, less about business.
Yeah.
You know, when you've got players and you know what everybody's contributing, and you can actually speak to the numbers and make accurate projections, or you understand how to get to a specific number that makes sense for everybody to invest all of their resources into this,
Yes.
right, and go and create something,
That's big.
right? That makes it a no-brainer.
Right.
But when all you bring in is your ego, and you can't speak to numbers,
Yes.
and you got to be 50-50 split. It got to be 60-40. You got to, and there's different deals where you can
You're gonna lose
create
people.
financial models, but
Right.
just saying,
Right.
you
You're gonna lose your team.
put your pride to the side,
Yes.
so you can build your pie,
Right. Good.
and that's external partnerships, internal partnerships. It could be all of the above. But I just wanted to kind of
Pinpoint that.
pinpoint that 100%. So bring these people together, these companies together. We help scale that business. That product in their portfolio from proof of concept to maturity globally, right? And then there's a lot of different ways that I work with stuff, but I've helped so I manage right now $42 million in projects, partnerships, right? I grew that from $12 million.
How long did it take you to do that?
To $42 million.
Wow.
About 2 years.
Whoa, that's a big accomplishment.
Can you say what company, or is it a bunch of companies
It's
combined?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's crazy.
My personal,
Yeah.
what I personally
did all together.
manage. This
Wow.
is not, looking at what is the quantifiable value of what I've done for businesses on their end, because they're selling the end product, right?
Yeah.
Or,
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
But explain that though, because they might not. And I think it'd be a good thing to explain to people what that is.
Yeah.
Especially from our area, because I know we have a lot of people listening from our area, and they don't understand business. A lot of them, man.
Okay, so let me break that down. So give that multi-pronged partnership as an example, creating something new in the construction industry. I have what I'm charging. So when I say I grew my projects, I'm talking about what I'm getting revenue for from started at $12 million and it grew to $42 million, right? That's what my cost, X, Y, and Z. But that's not the value, the overall value of what I've helped develop and put into the market, right? You got, in some cases, all of these other companies, they're putting on their margin, right? They're charging their cost.
Got it.
And then what that means to the end user, it could be, for example, and I can speak on this, the construction industry solution was with a company called Oracle. And they have $1 billion market that's already rolled out. They do $1 billion projects in Dubai, right? So you could say that that's to them that's worth, a couple $100 million, just that alone, right? In the short term,
Right.
not long term.
Wow. Question. So you mentioned earlier about business school. Did you learn a lot? Tell us where business school you went to, and did you learn a lot through your business school?
I did. So I went to Cornell University, Johnson Graduate School of Management. And
You was always known for reading a lot of books when we were growing up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
Hey,
It was crazy.
from the hood.
Yeah. Hey, from the hood. And it always
I
touched
watched
me.
the movies for the book
Hey,
reports.
bro, it literally, it always touched me when I would see it. Like,
Man.
he gonna be somebody.
You already knew at that point, huh?
Man, even though he was, who he was.
Yeah.
He was still aggressive and still, out there a little bit.
It's all beat you with my book.
Hey, but he still would read. So
Yeah.
he was exercising his mind too, making sure that he was going to be somebody still.
Yeah.
I always felt extremely intelligent. And when I was in high school, or actually younger, I used to just read the dictionary. I don't know why. I used to just let me learn words.
You can express yourself better. Yeah.
Exactly. But I earned credentials in business strategy, executive leadership, project management, performance leadership, project leadership, all of these areas. So that was a good time. Right now, I'm in a master's program at MIT for development.
Right now you are?
economics. Yes.
Oh, you're still developing your
Balls.
Growth mindset.
The
Dang.
balls.
Growth mindset. Growth mindset.
The balls.
Wow.
That's that.
That's impressive,
That's
man.
what's up.
That really is.
Yes, sir.
But
He humble too. I know him. He's a humble man for sure.
appreciate that.
We should get into the first question now.
You finished talking about.
You want to go into a little bit more?
However you guys want to go, whatever direction you want to go.
So-
go ahead.
You want to ask?
You go
it?
ahead. You go
okay,
ahead.
so the beginning of being a howler, the beginning of all of it, I feel like it's from one foundation, right? Everything has to start somewhere, and we say God fearing. So being a howler, I feel like you need to be a God-fearing man because everything like stems from that.
Yeah.
So in your life, what does God mean to you?
Nothing more potent than the power of God. You know, there's no power on earth more potent. And that's from somebody who's, you know, been around the world, fought wars. Literally, when I tell you that I was in a special ops unit.
In Afghanistan.
I went to
I didn't know
Iraq.
that.
I went to war. I spent more than 6 of those. Out of the 6 years, I spent more than 5 of those years deployed on different deployments. So
Thank God he's alive.
thank God I'm alive, and thank God I got my right mind.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
for real.
Yes.
And that's a part of like how God is so powerful.
Yeah, that makes me feel type of way.
100%.
So being God-fearing that, and then you because you were talking about how you were having PTSD. Did that have to do with being in the army or being are you said because I think you said from your neighborhood too.
Yeah, the mix of both, right? My mom's was shot when I was like 9, almost murdered. My dad too was almost murdered. I mean, I can go down the list of like violent traumas that made me very. I'm gonna just be real. Like I was
Uncaring.
very yes, yeah,
If that's
Yeah.
a word.
absolutely.
You were cold.
I
You were
was
cold.
very fierce,
Yes.
just very, yeah. I didn't play any games. I was like about the no hesitation life, and that's something also that was reinforced when I was in special ops because it's like you at war and you see thousands of rounds going down. First of all, you really get to see humanity, you know. So to a point about like I got to measure myself against thousands and thousands of other soldiers, and really see like
He's a howler.
what's in somebody's heart.
100%.
From
You
16.
know, really
From
get to see what's in
16.
somebody's heart.
From 16, he's a howler.
100.
Dude, you might as well howl right now on that mic. Dude. Get the moon behind you, everything. Howl on that
16.
thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, got to measure myself, at war.
From saying a lot.
From seeing a lot, and so being highly trained, so seeing a lot going into the military with all of that trauma, I said, look, I'm gonna arm myself. I'm gonna be the best. I'm gonna be the best. Like, I don't care if there's what human is in front of me. If it comes down, like, war is war. You know, it's life and death, right? So I made sure I felt confident. But the thing I wasn't confident about was, it just takes one round to kill you out of thousands, regardless of how better I can shoot, right? It just takes.
Say that again.
So
Say that again.
yeah,
Just
regardless,
it takes one round.
it
Say
just
that.
takes one. It just takes one, and
That's crazy.
I saw it happen. I saw people get hit, and they were well trained, right? But it happened. So
And that's when you begin to see the power of God at his finest. The
Yeah.
potency of God.
yeah. No, that was when I was like, okay,
He got me. God is real around here.
I
I'm
just-
making out of here.
I just felt like I needed to be, really vigilant and not hesitate. And my mind was very strong, and it put me in a very dark place. There was no human being who was ever going to talk to me, talk sense to me, and make me feel, at that time, different. Some of my darkest times, it was like, oh no. And for a while, I felt like God gave up on me because I went through so much, and I saw so much death, so much evil, so much hurt. And I remember having this real dialogue with God, like, oh, all right, I'm gonna just go. I'm gonna just go live for the devil.
I remember we were driving in the desert, going to the desert
Yep.
when you was in, what's that city out there past Palm Springs, past everywhere?
El Centro.
El Centro.
When I was out there.
Yeah, and the stuff that you were saying and how you were questioning. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And it almost made me question it. I grew up in the church. I was like, this brother deep. I was like, this brother deep. I grew up in the church, and I'm thinking, like, I'm listening to him like, man. And I knew it was military, and I knew it was, you know, he didn't grow up in a Christian home.
No.
You know
Did
what
not
I mean?
grow up in church.
Oh,
grew up in
so
church.
then you found God in your life, throughout your
Absolutely.
life.
I did not find God through religion.
Yeah, not through religion.
Not through religion.
No.
I found God on deployment.
I remember.
Well, actually, let me say this. He found me.
Right.
You know, I was the one
talk
who was
about
lost. I was the one who was lost, you know, dealing with so much hatred and anger and wanting to give up. I just had a supernatural encounter on a mountaintop on a secret mission. It was weird, man. You know, I feel like now I should talk about it.
Talk about it.
Yes.
I remember bits
like,
and pieces
yes,
of the
talk
story.
about it.
Talk about
You know
it.
what I
Talk
mean?
about
I
it.
remember bits and pieces of the
Let
story.
people
Okay.
know.
All right, so when I tell you my anger was palpable, I was like, you know, I had a murderous spirit, and it was it wasn't the person like you couldn't joke with me. It was all like just straight to killing and just so mad. I was so mad. I was walking around, and I would just be sitting there thinking about all the things I'd witnessed and been through, you know, innocent people I've seen get hurt, and just have tears going down my face in anger.
You had a death stare when you came home one time, and I seen it in you.
See, you're a witness, right?
Yes, I'm a witness.
You're
I'm
a witness.
like-
I could pull up a picture right now, and I promise I shared this with people, and they like, you know, a lot of people get chills from it, and they know I was a much different person at that time. I don't even look nothing like I used to, but point is, so I'm on this mountaintop dealing with this murderous spirit, and then I was searching for answers. I remember I was like, it was beautiful. I kept looking out, and I could see the city. I was in Eastern Europe, actually like near Montenegro. And so I'm looking out, and something told me to look up, and I see a cloud right above me, and it looked like an eye. And me being such a strong person, you're not gonna trick me. Like, I'm not into the hocus pocus. Dudes used to say that they used to see ghosts in Iraq and all of these different things. I wasn't into that. I'm not on that. It needs to be real. So I'm looking I look at this cloud, and I'm like, this is different. It looks different. It feels different. And God gave me a witness. One of my guys came, just so happened. We don't do this, but he just came and walked right next to me, and I was waiting for him to see it, and he was just looking out, and I told him to look up, and I swear it looked like he got struck by lightning. Every hair on his body stood up, and he literally jolted, like, you know, really reacted.
Damn.
And he looked away and would not look back. I said, look back. Like, he would not look back. You know, it was like a real thing. So he leaves, and me feeling so high and mighty and strong, and I was a strong person. And I had this strong spirit. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to, like, really
Dang, so
test
you
it out.
didn't even want to look
I'm
at
going
it.
to test it. Huh?
At first, you were like not even looking at it.
No,
but you were like,
I
I'm gonna
looked at
it again.
No, I looked at it, but it made me want to look away. You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
At first, I was like, I looked at it, I was like, and I looked away,
Dang.
and then he did it. He wouldn't look back. He left,
That's crazy.
and then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna see who's more powerful, right? So, anyways, I go, and I look at it. I promise, I felt like that spirit came when it went on my back. I literally felt like, so I've felt explosions before. And a weird thing about an explosion, you see the wave coming, and then you actually feel it hit the front. No, you feel it hit the front, and you feel it go through and then out your back.
That's what it felt like.
That's what it felt like.
Wow, God, is that you?
That's crazy.
That's literally what it felt like. And then this spirit left. That spirit that was so vicious and murderous and savage.
You mean it left? Like it was gone?
It was gone, bro.
Wow.
This is me on a mountaintop.
Wow.
So you didn't make
No
that movie.
church. No church.
No church.
Me on the mountaintop, not growing up in church. It wasn't religion because I was not religious. I didn't grow up in church. No one taught me this. A lot of the things you see, you know, I know a lot of people in church mimic each other.
Right.
It's not the real thing for a lot of, they just mimic.
Right.
They learn things
As
from
they
each
talk,
other
right.
and how it looks, and this is how it's supposed to look.
Right.
I didn't have none of that.
And it's years and years and years of people mimicking each other, and this is how church should be. And this is how
100%.
you should act. and
100%.
This is your pedigree and all this.
Oh,
kinda-
this is what a man of God looks like.
Right.
Look at the man of God.
Right.
So what happened after it left? Like what happened to you?
So here's the crazy part. The thing I was searching for before this happened, I remember I felt weird because I kept trying to visualize my life, and I was like, I can't see the future. I kept trying to think through, and like, I just literally could not even think about the future.
Like seeing your life.
I couldn't
later on.
see
You couldn't
ahead.
see anything.
I could not see ahead. It was literally blank. I didn't know what that meant. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know what that meant. After the spirit left,
Damn.
crazy. All of a sudden, I can visualize the future.
You open up your mind and your heart. And
All
your
of a sudden, I can
spirit,
visualize the
and your
future.
ears is open.
All of a sudden, I'm getting inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting inspiration.
Yes. And it didn't take religion.
No,
It just took God.
it took God. I'm getting inspiration. I'm getting like, oh, I'm royalty. This is crazy, right? And so I knew, literally at that moment, I said, oh, I'm going to live for God. I'm going to live for God. And then about 2 or 3 weeks later, my best friend was murdered.
Damn.
I come down, my best friend is murdered.
Rest in
And-
peace, Dominic.
Dominic, rest in peace, my brother. He was murdered. And had I got the news when I was in my former state, see, like, okay, let me say this.
You would have went wild.
Yeah, after that happened, okay, I started to get revelations. I started to be able to see my future or see things and hear things about myself. Oh, I'm gonna live for God. And then I felt joy for the first time ever. I didn't know how to have a clue why I felt so happy. It wasn't even just circumstantial happiness. I was literally in the same place. I started to really enjoy things, but I felt joy.
Did people see the difference in you? Were they like looking like, what's going on here?
I'm not too sure because
Everybody's just going one way.
Yeah.
But imagine if you didn't find God, what would have happened? You came home
Oh
3
my
weeks later.
goodness.
You would have went nuts.
I didn't
looking
even
for
go
the
home.
killers.
When I heard, I probably wouldn't even made it back because I was in Eastern Europe. Honestly, I probably would have done something stupid on base. The way I was so mad. Matter of fact, when I made the report, I said, my brother's murdered. I need to go home. My commanding officer, he was behind me, you know, and you got your little rituals in the military. You got to stand in parade rest and do all of that. So I'm standing in there, and I had my one of my leaders with me. He says, "Oh yeah, how'd he die?" Right, and I was raw, but I was raw from the experience of seeing, oh, he passed away. And I turned around and I remember looking at him with this, like, because the spirit was gone. It wasn't that I didn't have the capacity
You would have probably ringed him up.
Yeah, it wasn't that I didn't have the capacity to just like go kill mode. I was still in the military. I was still me.
Yes.
I could still go kill mode.
Yes.
You know, but I didn't have this irrational force that I had
understand.
before. You know, so yeah, I know at that moment it wouldn't have been good up in that room for sure. But anyway,
What have you learned from your past?
that I've learned a lot. I mean, a lot
Share
of
a few
ways.
things. Peace.
Definitely. Well, that's I've received peace and joy. What have I learned? I'm trying to sum it up in a shorter way. Or do you want me to just start
Just do your thing, man.
throwing it off?
Do your thing.
All right. We're capable of anything, and it doesn't, the way that things look when you're young is not how it is, and the way you think that things would turn out may not be how it goes,
That's good.
you know? So
That's great.
I've seen things really turn out way different than what I thought they
What
would
it
be
looked
like.
like.
Yeah,
Yes.
and what it looked like at the time, you know. But
growth is always possible.
growth is possible, and having a dream, you know, having a dream is different than having a vision and insight, like I talked about earlier, like just a moment ago. Vision and insight, being able to visualize yourself and having insight, that's different. But having a dream, anybody could do that.
Talk about it.
Anybody could dream about being more than where they are, right? Above where they are.
Right.
Anybody can just use your imagination about, you know, any skills that you have. What does that look like at the highest level?
I like that a lot.
Yes.
Any
That was
skills
fire
that you have,
at the highest.
what does it look like at the highest level? That's
fire.
That's fire right there, man. Yeah. I wanted to, man, I don't know if I want to get you in deep on this, some of this stuff right now, because, okay, my whole thing is courageous. So I feel like every howler has to be courageous at some point in his life, but he has to feel fear
Yeah.
before he can be courageous. He has to fight through that fear. Can you tell us a time that you had to fight through fear in order to be courageous?
Yo, this is one of my favorite topics. I'm glad you mentioned it.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I'm glad you mentioned it because I literally was just talking to the wife. As matter of fact, yeah, I was just talking to the wife about something I was reminded of with a conversation I had with a friend. I think the one, like, from my perspective, you know, one of the apexes of power, personal power, is when you're like that. Personal power is when you are completely confident, comfortable in all aspects of your life, no matter where you, no matter what situation you end up in, because you have, you know, you're capable, because you know how to deal with it, right? You know how to deal with it. Where does that really come from? That comes from confronting your fear. So, I know.
No, you're good.
Okay.
Finish what you got to say. You're good.
So, I remember when I went to Iraq, you know, there was dudes who were trembling on the flight on the way over. They're literally lip is shaking. These are highly trained dudes, but first time in combat.
Yeah.
Right? So lips shaking. It didn't hit me then. So I was looking at them and I'm like, okay.
Y'all
Oh, you scared, huh?
Yeah, you scared.
You scared, huh?
Yeah.
We was in training. You was real tough.
They
All of a sudden.
They confront that fear now on that plane.
Yeah, for sure. And they get off the plane with jello legs, you know. It's like
Right.
But it hit me the first time. So we were at Camp Slayer in Iraq, and first time getting ready to leave the wires go into, enemy territory, off base, and go run a mission. So I'm in the Humvee, and I'm looking out, and I'm like, oh, this is hostile, all hostile land, right? Like, I'm just looking out, like, there's so many threats everywhere, and it off base. The
Look at the questions.
the reality of being at war, the reality of the situation just hit me all at once. Like, it's real. It's not practice. It's not, And I remember feeling like, oh shit, right? Like, my legs are buckling. I won't say buckling, like a lot, just a little bit. I felt a little stiffness. Right, and
Cold feet.
It's a weird sensation. It's a weird sensation, but it was genuinely fear. The good thing is when you do so much training, right? The hope is that you get to a place where when you can't think, because if you're in a scenario, fear or emotion got to you, you fall back to your habits, right? Your level of training, right? When you drill so much training in you. But I quickly got over it. What I started to do was think through about the scenarios I was afraid of, and I started to have a game plan. I started to visualize, right? Like my steps through things. I started to really mentally prepare, because before I didn't really know what to expect. Even though we did training, but the environment is different. It's still different. So I'm like, oh, what's going to come? And yada, yada, yada. But, I just played mental chess and was able to empower myself through that so that I knew how to respond. Yeah. And that's a part of the core capabilities, your holistic power, your holistic ability to respond well, like really well.
Takes courage.
Really well. It takes courage, and it takes mental chess. It's like you got to run through the moves, and then you really just do it, right?
So you fought through it.
Yeah, 100%.
You was howling.
Boy, howling. Howling. When I say howling, man, absolutely. And then being and you looking at people and they got the look of hatred on their face. A lot of the, ISIS or whomever, the people, they look at you. They got this deep, intense hatred. It looks different than out here. And it's a force of evil that they have. It's different out here than out here. They got hours and hours of gunfights. They've been doing that for hundreds of years. Their level of evil is not the same as what it looks like out here.
Now, did a lot of this make you feel that this is why you call yourself a person of a titan of faith?
Yeah. That's ended with that because we did that time. So like let's do that. Titan of faith.
She said we good.
Oh, we're good? Okay. Let's do the Titan of faith then.
Yes.
I want to get into that.
Yeah, so
that's what I want to get into.
Is that why you call yourself a person as a titan of faith?
Yeah.
Explain that to us.
I say that because I've genuinely encountered God. Genuinely.
Don't you think that's kind of crazy? Have you thought? I don't know if you thought of this, but people say this all the time. Like, I found God on the mountaintop.
Right.
You literally
I
found God
literally
on
did.
the mountaintop.
And those folks are saying it figuratively, right?
Yes, and that really happened to you.
Yes.
Or maybe they go on a camping trip and they go pray and they get a good revelation. Cool.
Right. Or they go to church and get a good revelation or building or something.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. They go there with the intent
Yes. To find God.
to find God.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what my story is.
That's like a Bible story.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Bruh.
Like
Burning
you know,
bush.
Yeah.
It's like that.
That's crazy to me.
It's
man.
insane.
Yeah.
Insane. So, honestly, the thing that I feel qualifies me to say that, or the reason I say that, is because I know I've genuinely encountered God, not just in near-death experiences, but God has had his hand on me, man. From the beginning. And very pivotal times.
That's what I want to say too. So he built you. We're I don't care, man. We're definitely having him on again. Like I'm not joking.
I told you he was gonna come
at
back
all.
time.
Like I want to make you a
said
regular.
this
I'm not
already.
joking.
Let's do it.
Hey, I
I'm
said
dead
this
serious.
already.
Like, I want to bring him on for business. I want to bring him on.
100%.
His story needs to go.
That's what I said. How long we got?
Hey, we didn't
Ronnie,
even
no.
get a third.
Oh my God.
We didn't even get to a third of what we were supposed to
Not
get
at
into. Hey, but it's fine because I told him before.
Dude,
I said,
I'm gonna tell you right
love
now.
him. He gonna kill
I
it.
know,
And he gonna be on here more than one time.
And I was like, all right, cool. And I'm like, yeah, dude. Like I already knew him almost from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna make you a house over Baz. That's what it comes down to. I'm just talking. I'm telling the people right now, like if this dude wants to,
Yeah.
I want you to be a regular on.
Absolutely.
And talk about basically management. We could do like a management Monday with
Yes,
him.
yes.
Talk about all finances.
Yes.
All this stuff has to do with that, and we'll do a regular thing with you, man.
Let's do it.
Because you have a lot of knowledge, and we're trying to do something different for the Inland Empire, and then we got to get more into your story.
You gotta forget, he's my business partner first.
Yeah, right off the bat.
He did my business partner. What you talking about? No, I'm just kidding.
We bring him in for House Over Bad.
100%.
So you guys will be seeing more
Iron
of him
sharpens iron,
for
and we
sure.
grow together.
Oh, dude.
And that's what people got to understand. There's no little eyes. I mean, and big U's, or big U's and little eyes, both. You know what I mean? Did I say that right?
You know what he means.
You know what I mean.
You know what he means.
We grow together. That's for sure. We grow together. It's a team.
Well, when somebody knows more than you on certain fields and certain things, but you just right off the bat, you're like, hey, let's just bring him in the pack.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like right away,
feel
dude.
it, yeah.
You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? Like,
I
yeah, you
got
got to
you.
come back, man.
Let's end it with
So-
the question we always end with.
Okay, one more question. We got this one.
Yes.
Okay, so with everything that happened to you in the army, in business, finding God on that mountaintop, let's just like. I feel like this is gonna be easy for him, man.
Just do it.
Like
Do it.
wiping the money, cars, clothes, everything that you've been through, put you butt naked standing there. Who are you? Who is Vernell Hill? Who are you?
Oh man. I'm somebody who's gonna figure out how to put clothes on his back and how to not be naked.
Number
one.
No, but
In everything.
no.
In a
But-
huge aspect
But
of
honestly,
life.
Your
no.
heart,
That's a
like
good.
your spirit. Like who?
No, that's a
are
good
you?
question. Here's what else is funny about that same image you give. So when in my experience of getting to see people and get to see human nature, and people tell on themselves like really what's inside. That's how that was a huge confidence establisher for me, because I got to see really what's inside people isn't about how they look, or that vibrato, or the representation that you might meet at first, right? And so what I started to do was literally like, it would be like these folks are naked, figuratively, but you know what I'm saying? It'd be like they're naked. I see them.
The discernment.
I see them. I see right through them, and I know the truth, right? So I started to look at all people like that, like, because you know how you can be intimidated. Some people they carry themselves a certain way, or especially when you're figuring things out. I don't care what anybody says. You know, everybody's sizing up the room and they're trying to
Yeah.
figure things out.
Only Howlers though, really.
Yeah.
You know the Bass ain't doing that.
No, for sure. Yeah, Baz is in the corner, you know, tucked tailed.
Hopefully you don't figure me out. Hopefully they not looking this way.
They want to look like a fur ball, not you know.
Right.
But who am I? Naked.
Your heart, your intellect, you know.
Yeah.
Who are you? Your soul.
I mean, I'm a powerful person. I'm definitely somebody who, if I have questions, I'm gonna find the answer. If I have a need, I'm gonna get it. I'm definitely gonna make sure I look good
While I'm doing it.
while I'm doing it, you know, and that I'm strong. And that's the thing is like, if you're naked and you're not comfortable, you're not confident, it's because something's wrong, right? So
You're
you
an
know,
overcomer to me.
you got to figure that out.
Yeah.
You got to
When
put
I
the
look-
work in.
I already was thinking the
Yeah,
exact.
Triumpher,
He's an overcomer.
Yes, for
right?
sure.
For
That's
sure.
that's like the word that would sum him up.
Yes,
man.
a straight overcomer.
Overcomer. He overcame
Came a lot.
yeah.
And that ain't even
I
half.
don't even-
That's
I
a lot of
know. I
private
can
stuff
already
that we
tell.
ain't overcame too.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? He's a beast, man. Like for
I
real,
appreciate
man.
it, bro.
And you know, I'm proud of this young man,
appreciate
and
it,
I'm
bro.
not someone to be, you know, you know what I mean, looking down on nobody. I look up to him. You know what I mean?
I'm already doing the same
I'm
thing
very proud
in a lot of
this
different
young-
ways.
I'm very proud of him.
Appreciate
Well, welcome to House Over
And all the
Bass.
Appreciate it,
success. And all the success, man.
Yeah.
We out of here, man.
Yes, dude.
House Over Baz. I'm Ronnie Adams.
And I'm Jacob Casas, and we thank you for coming on. We're
We
out.
out.